Hey friends, welcome back. I'm Jen Sorensen, and in today's video, I want to show you how to make these beautiful bad boys. Yes, they are Cork inspired, well, using Cork Fabric, Mickey ears. How awesome are these? You can see there's like a little bit of gold shimmer to them. This is using Cork Fabric, and there are several different kinds of cork fabric. This is some cork. This one, I love this one. It has like this rainbow shimmer to it. This is dyed black with some gold. I got these at some different quilt shows. I'm gonna link some craft stores, quilt stores that have them. But you can also get cork fabric here on Amazon. And that is what I'm testing out today. So you can see this one's got some really fun colors to it. There's this like blues and aqua, and then just regular old cork. So I will link these down below as well if you want to try them. I did a couple different tests for these. So the first one I did, you can see here, I didn't love it. I modeled these after this style of Mickey ear, which kind of has the seam on the outer edge. I didn't love the way this turned out and how kind of inconsistent and kind of warped things were on the edge. So instead, I made this style. It's a little more poofy, kind of inspired by this style of Mickey ear where it's just nice and soft on the end. Let's talk about what you're gonna need to do this. You need your cork fabric. You're going to need a headband. And I will link, I think I got these in like 10, 20, 12, something like that. This is about a 1-inch band and it's really comfortable. You're gonna need some fabric to wrap your headband in. And then I use, this is 3/8 of an inch ribbon that matches the fabric that's going to go on the headband. You are going to, obviously cork fabric, as I mentioned, I ended up using, this is a 1 cup Pyrex, and I use this to create my template for my ears themselves. And this is about, if I look at this, just under about 4 inches in diameter, so all the way across. We have that. You're gonna need some fabric here. I think I got this on Amazon, so I will link this below too. Nice iridescent. You're gonna need some of this for the bow. You can pick whatever fabric you want. You're gonna need something to stuff inside of your ears. Now for this, I just use extra batting that I had on hand. You can use polyfill, whatever you have. Again, I'll link some of this below so you can take a look at it. You're gonna need some sort of rotary cutter or scissors to cut out everything in general, whatever you prefer. You're gonna need a hot glue gun because there is some gluing that's to be done. And then you're gonna need a sewing machine because these do require a little bit of sewing. I'll show you that in a few minutes. If you are using fabric instead of the cork, you may need some interfacing to make these stiff as you go ahead and make them. And then you're gonna need some sort of marking tools. I really like this Clover chalk marking tool. You can use any sort of fabric pen. It's gonna depend on what it is that you are trying to make, the fabric you're gonna mark on. Look at if it's dark, this white chalk works really well. If it's a light, I like the dissolvable purple pens that's water soluble. And then I kind of piece this together. You'll see what I mean in a few minutes, but some sort of like cardstock or something to create a template to figure out how we need to cut the fabric to go over our headband. Optionally, you can get some of the grippy Velcro to go on the inside once you go ahead and make it so that it kind of doesn't flop over like that. It helps just stay intact. Yeah, so again, sewing machine thread. I use my regular Aurifil 50 weight thread, cotton thread. You don't need anything special for it. And then I am experimenting, you guys are gonna see the result in here of whether or not I wanna hot glue this, or if you need some thread and a needle to go ahead and sew this closed. So let us come down to the table and we will dive into what we need to do to prepare and start to create our Cork Mickey ears, or Minnie ears, whatever you want to call them. Okay, the first step is going to be to create our headband. And we have this cheap headband that we bought online or wherever you, dollar store, wherever. We're gonna grab a piece of cardstock here and I'm gonna lay this down on top of it and I'm just gonna trace around it. So just kind of roll this on top of the cardstock is what I did. So just kind of roll it, and as you go, trace around it to create your template, basically. You're then going to cut it out, and on the thickest part, I did about 1/2 inch, and then you can see where I had to tape it together here. And then on the ends, I did about 1/4 inch. You can see that this is not super duper accurate. It doesn't really matter a ton. What I am going to do is, I honestly don't even know where I got this fabric from, but I am going to now take this, lay it down. I'm gonna kind of get the most usage out of this. Let's slide it down here. And this is where I'm going to use my marking tool. This is a Clover pen. You can see it kind of has this like little rolling, it's hard to really tell. Has this little rolling attachment, you can hear it. And I don't know if you can see on my finger the chalk that's coming out. I like this for this dark fabric. I'm just gonna kind of go around and mark all the way around this template, and I'm not really being, see, I'm not really being uber accurate here. Can you see my markings? You can see that on here. I'm gonna go down and I'm just gonna trace around this, and I'm going to cut this out. You can use a rotary cutter, you can use fabric scissors, whatever you want. I'm just kind of going all the way around here, making sure I've got everything. There we go. It doesn't need to be super accurate. We're gonna cut this out now. And what I'll probably just do is do a little snip here, get that out of the way. And now let's give this a cut. We're doing this real time here so you can see what we need to do. Again, this is optional, but this is really gonna help you when it comes time to put your ears onto your headband. It's gonna give you a little more leeway and a way to kind of help it attach. Because if you don't do this, your only way to attach the ears is going to be hot glue. This gives you the option of either hot gluing, or you can also just sew it on. It all depends on what you prefer. So now that we have this, what we can do is start gluing this on. And I kind of like to position it, make sure that I've got it centered. Let me pull it down just a little bit here. Yeah, that's good. What I'm gonna do is, I have my hot glue gun here. I need another refill. And I'm gonna kind of do a little dot on the end and tack it down. Just, don't go away on me. I'm gonna keep that there, and then I'm gonna kind of pull it a little bit taut. Pull it tight. You can see here, pulling it. And I'm gonna add one more dot on the end and secure that. Now I am going to glue this to the inside here. And you kind of have to do it in segments, so I might do just like a little U-y here. Bring that down, bring this over. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm gonna keep going all the way And I'm just getting little segments here. And I'm going to go all the way around. So let's do this real time. Just do a few inches here and there. And don't worry if one side has more than the other. This is what that ribbon is for that I talked about, because we are going to then kind of go back and glue our ribbon to the center of this to kind of hide any sort of seam here. So don't worry about it too much. If you have extra, you can always trim it off. I'm just going through and trying to cover this entirely. You could pad this a little bit. There are so many things you can do. And on this end, let's pull that down first and see if that makes a difference. You can see you're going to have bits of glue here. Don't worry about it too much. So we're just going to go around, glue it all, get it in there. Okay, perfect. As I throw things. Next up, we're going to take our ribbon. And I like it to match a little bit. It can contrast too. I am going to, oh, I already did that on this end. I don't know if you can see, but I kind of folded it over and glued this down. So I'm just going to put a little dot right here. And I'm going to put that down. I'm honestly not even going to bother cutting this yet. Let's put that down. I'm going to wait until I get to the end and cut it so I don't have any measuring issues. All right, that's in. We're going to just kind of go down here, go down the middle of where the seam is. And this is where, if you are using a different kind of headband, you may want to measure the thinnest area to then determine how much you need, how wide your ribbon needs to be. Say that 5 times fast. All right, we're going down. I missed a little bit there. And you can get all these little like threads of the hot glue off after. Don't worry about it too much, but really push this down as much as you can. I like a low heat glue gun. It just makes things so much easier and hurts a lot less. Okay, let's finish this off. And then we will get to the actual ears. So we've got kind of 3 parts to this. We've got the ears, the headband, and the bow. You can kind of customize each one of them based on your preference. Your different fabrics, whatever you want to use, materials. There's so much you can do here. And you can even add other accessories to your headband, your ears after. Okay, we're getting close to the end. And again, this doesn't need to be perfect. So I'm going to kind of pull this down, cut it, get that out of the way. Now I'm going to kind of put a dab of glue on the end here. And this is what I did at the beginning, which you didn't see. Fold it down. And now I can finish it off. So that way I don't have any raw edges of the ribbon, so it doesn't fray. Okay, that's it. We've got our headband ready to go. And you may need to go back through and check on it, whatever you want, but doesn't that look nice? I mean, that's a headband in and of itself that you can just, if you've got some Disney fabric or whatever, get the little threads out there. But yeah, that's a great way to cover a headband. Next up, we need to cut out our, and let's see, I think I'm going to use, what do I want to use this time? Let's just use a typical Cork fabric right here. And this is one that I got on Amazon. What I am going to do now, I'm going to take my template here and I'm just going to draw, this I can just use a pen. I'm going to draw my circles here. Let's see how many I can get on here, just so you can get an idea. All right, so it looks like for one of these, I can make an entire set of Mickey ears. So we're going to do this. One sheet is going to make you, because you need one piece for the front and one piece for the back. And again, I tried this a different way where I try to mimic this ear, where you can see it kind of pinches together. And that's what I did here. And I just did not like the way that this kind of crinkled. To do this version, I traced the ears and I left a little lip here. I just didn't like it. I didn't like how it came together. So you're learning from my mistakes now. This is what I did. We're gonna cut these out. And I've done a little bit of prep work here. Cut these out, put them right sides together. And then we're gonna sew on this on the line, and then I'm gonna kind of cut them out a little bit more. And actually, I did this wrong. You need a little bit of a seam allowance here, so I'm gonna have to redo this. Good thing I didn't cut this. So you wanna give yourself a little bit of a seam allowance, cut on them, and sew right on the line. And here's a close-up of sewing on the line. I left a little bit of an opening here. And that is because, and when I do this, I like to back stitch a little bit here and a little bit here. So back stitch, this is normal stitch length. And now we can turn this inside out, and it's gonna kind of be like, you're gonna feel like you're fighting it. It's gonna be really awkward, but you can do it. This is what I was worried about, and this is where, if you use the Cork Fabric from Amazon that I found, it's a little bit thinner, so it's gonna be a little bit easier to turn inside out. We've got this here. Okay, and we're just gonna kind of use our fingers to shove this in. All right, and this is what happens. You've got this little opening here, and you've got this little round thing. You're now going to take it and stuff it. We're gonna stuff it as much as we can. I just use some batting, and this is where I'm just gonna take some pieces and we're gonna shove it in. So keep shoving it in until you get it completely filled. And I want it really stiff. So I want to keep going. You can use polyfill. You can use whatever you have on hand. You can use fabric scraps, whatever you want. Just keep shoving it in. I like to really make sure it's in there. Kind of shove it in, make sure you're forcing this to be round. I'm pinching the edges here. Push, push, push. I think I want a little bit more in here. I'm gonna do a thin piece of batting. And let's get this in. Kind of work it in. Now, for my prototype ears, I turned this right sides together, like these, to finish the actual ears, and I sewed it by hand. And I'm gonna be honest, it was a pain in the butt. So I say, let's give this a go and try hot gluing it, and you and I can see which one we prefer, because I wanna give you guys options on how to make this work for you, because if I struggle with it, and as someone who sews a lot, you might as well. So let's kind of pinch these together, and I'm just gonna kind of hold it here, really try and get this together as I get it all over my finger. All right. I may need to come back to this while this hardens. In the meantime, I'm pinching this So I have my other one made right here, and I did hot glue it because I want to see how they behave compared to sewing it. So I sewed these. I love that sparkle. Now, when it comes to creating the bow, there are a lot of things you can do here. I wanted to go with some glittery fabric. Let's keep holding this. For the middle, right here, this middle piece, I cut, and I tried a few different sizes here. I cut these, you only need one of them, for the center. This is 2 inches by 3 inches. You can see here. This, I just made 11.5 by 8.5 because I have an 8.5 inch ruler, and I thought it would be a good, all right, I don't need to keep holding on to that. So we're gonna cut our 8.5. Oh, I already cut it. Doy. Okay. So I have my 8.5 inch by 11 inch piece right here. I like this one better. Not that they're the same. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to sew these right sides together, right here, 1/4 inch seam, right there, and for the bow. Let me go sew these for this middle piece. Let me go sew these the long way. So we're sewing, bringing right sides together and sewing them down the long way. We're not doing it the short way. So let me sew these together and I will come right back. All right, we are back, and you can see this is right side together. It's hard for you to tell because you can see some of it. Got that, and I have my long piece, and you can see I just use white thread. It doesn't matter. Not totally perfect. Now we are going to turn both of these, and I'm just going to show you with this big one here. Right side out. So we're going to bring the outside in, and if you're using something that can be ironed, you may want to iron it so the seam is in the middle. This is a seam right here. Iron it down like that. What you're now going to do is put the seam on the outside and fold it in half. So the seam is on the outside, and you're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam right here on the raw edge. And that's going to look like this, because now we're going to turn this inside out. So the seam is on the inside, and we have the beginning of our bow. We also do the same for this small piece. So we're going to turn it inside out, have the fold here, and then we're going to turn it inside out. And this creates our little ring that the bow is going to go into. So let's do that right now. I'm going to fold this in half and kind of just like accordion. I'm actually just going to accordion this. And that becomes a bow. I'm just accordioning it. Let's see how we can do this here. And now let's take our ring, shove it through. And as you can see, if you use this, you're going to get little circles here and there. Don't worry too much about it. And here's our bow. You may need to flatten it, kind of get it positioned the right way, whatever you need to do. Now, where this seam is, I'm kind of just going to bring it down to the bottom area. And I'm going to use that as my place where I'm going to glue it. So there's my bow. How cute is that? So now we're ready to assemble. We have our headband, we have our ears, and we have our bow. First things first, and I'm going to get this out. I'm going to flip it over to use it as a template. You may want to get a ruler. How's that for sound? And you may want to measure how long this headband is. So this one is 14.5 inches. So if I go to 7 1/4 right here, That's the middle. I can always use my chalk right here to kind of mark the center. And this will just kind of, I can like wipe it right off if I need to. So what I have done is these are probably about, well, let's not guess. These are about 2 inches apart. So if I go an inch from the center, that's where I'm going to put the edge of my ear, right here. So let me get, and I glued these down for the first version, and I'm going to do that for this one. All right, I'm going to put my extra, all right, I'm not quite there yet. So we're going to go an inch here. I'm going to just put a little dab of hot glue right there. And let's put this down. And I'm definitely gonna need to add a good amount of glue here. And you can see I'm like squishing this in to really make sure it stays. All right, and now let us do, I may go back in, yeah, I'm gonna go back in, add more hot glue here. It's really, these ears are super light. They're not gonna be very heavy. I'm going to go on the other side as well. Make sure we've got plenty of hot glue. I'm just going to kind of hold it there. Let it go. All right, that feels pretty good. And you can come up and do some cleanup after. Let's do the next one. We want to be about an inch apart from that. So I'm going to start my dab here to at least put this down. Hold it here while I put another little glue stick in, and let's get to really gluing the bejesus out of this thing. Try and make sure that you're putting this in the center of your headband, unless for some reason you want it in the front, which you can do that too. But these are gonna be so poofy, they're gonna take up most of, if you stuff them really well, they're going to take up most of the headband here. And that's also kind of why I am forcing them down. There we go. Shove that in, and we're really holding this down. Now I think I could have stuffed these a little bit better, but I'm doing this quickly for you. Okay. Not bad. As you can see, this is the Quilt Store quality cork. This is the Amazon quality. You can see I'm not getting, like, they just look a little bit different. Both of them are going to be totally fine. I think photograph wise, they're going to look exactly the same. But for longevity, I do think that it is worth it to do the Quilt Store quality ones. My personal opinion. Now we can add our bow. So we've already marked our center, and I'm bringing this little, like where we've sewn, I'm gonna bring this, and I'm just going to kind of do it a little bit more towards the front. Put a nice dollop of glue here, and I'm gonna put that down. And this is where, as I shove this down, let it dry a little bit, you can kind of do what you want. You may want to add a little glue to the ears, which I have done. So I added a little glue here to keep the bow from staying and really keep it staying put. So let's do that. I'm going to do just a tiny dab, little dab, put the bow there. Let's do one more dab here. And that is really it. You know, you can adjust this as much as you want, make it pretty. You could add a wine cork to the center here. You could use the cork to put some pins in. I would do it before you sew it because you're not getting them out. You know, there are so many things you could do with this style of ear. So again, Quilt Store cork, Amazon cork. You can see the quilt store ones are a little bit more round, but again, in pictures, you're not gonna notice. You're gonna save yourself a bunch of money. I do recommend the quilt store one personally. And I did this one really quick too, so I probably could have done a little bit of a better job. All right, what do you think? Am I competing with Disney here, or are these just some really fun, festive, exciting cork ears that would be fantastic for the Food and Wine Festival or the Wine and Dine Half Marathon weekend? They're really comfortable. They don't push into right behind your ears the way that some of the Disney ones do. And they were pretty easy to make. You really didn't need to do much sewing at all. If you wanted to, you could have sewn a little bit more. Like we could have sewn these closed here, but honestly, the glue worked just fine. Let me know in the comments below if you try this, if you are interested in making your own ears, or if you're like, yeah, I'm just gonna buy some. Or both in my case, because I like to make them, I like to buy them, I like to do it all. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and please get out there, create something beautiful. I will see you guys real soon.